A massive cyber attack is spreading across the world. It is known as the Petya virus.
Calls the most devastating cyber attack in history. The cyber weapon NotPetya started in Ukraine in June of 2017. It quickly spread, paralyzing major companies and causing more than $10 billion in damage.
The White House confirmed that Russia was behind a worldwide cyber attack that took place in June of last year. It said the attack, quote, will be met with international consequences.
$10 billion in damage. Global shipping froze. Hospitals lost access to patient data. Pharmaceutical production stopped. All of it began with what appeared to be a routine software update. On June 27, 2017, a trusted piece of accounting software delivered something far more dangerous than a patch. It delivered a weapon. Within hours, multinational corporations around the world were paralyzed. Within days, it became clear that this was not ordinary cybercrime. It was something far more deliberate. This was NotPetya. The first signs appeared in Ukraine. Companies installed an automatic update from MeDoc, a tax software program required for filing government reports. Installing the update was routine, mandatory, completely ordinary. Then computers across the country began rebooting. When they came back online, a message appeared demanding payment in Bitcoin in exchange for access to the system. At first, it looked like ransomware, but the damage spread rapidly. Government ministries in Kiev lost control of their systems. Ukraine's national bank struggled to operate. Automated teller machines stopped working. Energy companies and airports reported serious disruptions. Ukraine was under a digital siege.
That morning of June 27, 2017, Ukrainians across the country began to see this ransomware message appear on computers in all sorts of networks, from private industry and banks to government agencies, hospitals. It seemed to be encrypting computers and demanding a ransom in the ways that cybercriminal hackers often do. But even when you paid the ransom, you couldn't recover your files. It was actually a data-destroying piece of code designed to cause maximum chaos. And then because internet worms do not generally stay within national boundaries, it spread to the rest of the world. NotPetya immediately hit companies like Maersk, the world's largest shipping firm, and FedEx, and Mondelez, which owns Cadbury and Nabisco, and Merck, the pharmaceutical giant. In the case of Maersk, for instance, that meant that tens of thousands of trucks were lining up outside of terminals and ports around the world, and ships with thousands and thousands of containers on them are arriving at those ports, and nobody knows what is on them. For Merck, it meant they had to borrow their own HPV vaccine from the Center for Disease Control because their manufacturing was shut down. In each of these cases, these companies lost hundreds of millions of dollars, more than $1 billion in some cases, all because of this one cyber attack that had spilled out from Ukraine.
Within hours, security researchers began noticing something strange about the ransom demand. Every victim was instructed to send payment to the same Bitcoin wallet and contact a single email address to receive a recovery key. When that email account was shut down by the email provider, it became clear that no one would ever receive a decryption key. This was never meant to be a real ransom operation. Then the infection crossed borders. Multinational corporations with offices in Ukraine suddenly saw their global networks collapse. Maersk, the shipping company responsible for moving nearly 20% of the world's shipping containers, watched terminals from Europe to Asia go dark. FedEx operations across Europe stalled. The pharmaceutical company Merck halted manufacturing. Within a single day, the infection had spread to more than 60 countries. What began as a local outbreak had become a global economic shock in less than 24 hours.
It was the 27th of June when I was woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning. A call came from the office that we had suffered a cyber attack, and then a process started, which I'll talk a little bit about. Now, by the NotPetya virus, the impact of that was that we basically reinstalled an entire infrastructure. We had to install 4,000 new servers, 45,000 new PCs, 2,500 applications, and that was done in a heroic effort over 10 days. Normally, I come from the IT industry, you would say that's going to take 6 months. It took 10 days. Maybe coming to the learning. This was a very significant wake-up call for an organization like A.P. Møller-Maersk. We could say a very expensive one. It cost us between $250 to $300 million.
Security analysts later said that by the time many organizations realized what was happening, their networks were already compromised. The worm spread so quickly that entire corporate systems could collapse within minutes. No one could stop it. To understand why the attack spread so quickly, it is important to understand what it was pretending to be. The malware resembled earlier ransomware called NotPetya, first identified in 2016. That earlier program encrypted the master file table, the core structure that tells the Windows operating system where every file on the computer is stored. If that index is locked, the entire system becomes unusable. Victims could normally regain access by paying the ransom. NotPetya copied the appearance of that behavior, but the recovery process was fake. Even if victims paid the ransom, their data could never be restored. The malware permanently damaged critical parts of the computer's storage system. It also overwrote the master boot record, the code that allows a computer to start its operating system. For many victims, the machines would never boot again. It was designed to destroy data, not to make money. That distinction changed everything. In this demonstration, we'll be exploring the Petya variant, also known as NotPetya, and how it spreads across a local network. Before diving into the infection process, we have a few sample files that will soon be encrypted. Among them are a VBS script message box, another VBS script sourced from the System32 directory, and a C program. When executed, the ransomware deletes an executable, specifically a DLL file from the desktop, before initiating encryption. Our code is wiped out, and our scripts become unreadable and useless. Examining the scheduled tasks, we can see that the ransomware has set up an automated restart in precisely 1 hour and 3 minutes, while it employs multiple restart mechanisms. This ensures the process completes, even if other methods fail. Checking other machines on the network, the sample files initially remain unaffected. However, after some time, we observe that Computer 3 has fallen victim to the attack, with its files encrypted. Meanwhile, Computers 2 and 4 remain unscathed for the moment. A closer look at the affected files reveals that their contents differ depending on which system was infected. As the scheduled restart approaches, the ransomware spreads further, eventually reaching all connected machines. The infected computers begin rebooting, allowing the malware to encrypt the master file table on each hard drive. Upon restarting, the screens display a fake scan disk message, while the encryption process continues. If the systems were powered off at this stage, some data might still be salvageable. However, if left to run its course, the computers eventually display Petya's ransom message. Computer 3 is the first to reach this stage, followed closely by Computer 4. Computer 2 lags slightly behind at 98% completion, while Computer 1 trails significantly at 58%, needing several more minutes to complete the fake scan disk before showing the ransomware notice. Eventually, all systems in the network are fully encrypted, originating from just a single point of infection. Technically, the attack was engineered as a worm. Once inside a network, it did not rely on human mistakes. It harvested login credentials directly from computer memory using a tool known as Mimikatz. It also exploited a vulnerability in Windows called EternalBlue. This exploit had originally been developed by the National Security Agency, and it was later leaked online. The exploit targeted a weakness in the Windows file sharing system known as the server message block protocol. Once one machine was compromised, the worm could automatically jump to every other vulnerable system on the same network. Using stolen credentials and remote execution capabilities, the malware moved through networks at machine speed. One infected computer quickly became hundreds, and hundreds became thousands. What made the attack even more unsettling was that Microsoft had already released a security patch for the vulnerability months earlier. Many organizations simply had not installed it. The most unsettling part of the attack was how it entered the system. The attackers did not trick employees with malicious emails. Instead, they compromised the update server used by MeDoc. Every legitimate update sent to customers contained the malicious software. Businesses infected themselves simply by keeping their software up to date. The attackers weaponized trust. From Ukraine, the worm spread through global supply chains. At Maersk, the infection reportedly began in a single Ukrainian office. Within hours, the company's central network controllers failed. Booking systems crashed. Container tracking systems disappeared. 600 office locations and 76 port terminals were affected. Ships arrived in ports, but no one knew what they were carrying or where the cargo was supposed to go. Employees returned to pen and paper. Whiteboards replaced digital dashboards. Personal mobile phones replaced corporate email. Factories shut down because machines could no longer authenticate with central servers. Production lines stopped in the middle of their processes. Supply chains built for efficiency had no tolerance for digital paralysis. This was no longer a regional attack. It had become a global shockwave. Recovery was massive in scale. Maersk rebuilt its entire information technology infrastructure from the ground up. Thousands of servers and tens of thousands of computers had to be reinstalled. The company was saved in part by a single server located in Ghana. That server happened to be offline during the attack because of a power outage. Because it was untouched, it became the foundation for rebuilding the company's global network.
My favorite detail in Andy's piece. So Maersk goes down and all their computers have been connected. And they realized, oh wait, because all these things called the domain controllers were connected, we can't get the system back up. Let's call everybody. Maybe somebody was offline. And they finally find one office in Ghana that had had a power outage. So they get the guy to fly to Nigeria, take the disk from Nigeria to London, and that's how they put it back online.
Within about 10 days, the company managed to restore its core directory services. The full recovery of systems and operations took weeks, and in some cases months. The total cost to Maersk was about $350 million. Merck reported losses exceeding $1 billion. The TNT Express division of FedEx suffered hundreds of millions of dollars in damage. Insurance claims poured in. Legal battles followed over whether the attack should be considered an act of war under cyber insurance policies. Western governments eventually attributed the attack to Sandworm, a hacking group linked to Russian military intelligence. Officials described the attack as a deliberate strike primarily aimed at Ukraine during a period of rising geopolitical tension. But the code did not recognize borders. It did not discriminate between targets. It spread across the world, causing collateral damage on a historic scale. The estimated global losses approached $10 billion, making NotPetya the most expensive cyber attack ever recorded. The attack forced governments and companies to rethink cyber warfare. It showed that digital weapons can cause real-world economic destruction without a single missile being launched. It revealed how fragile global supply chains can be. It also exposed the risks hidden inside trusted software updates. The most chilling lesson is not the technical sophistication of the exploit. EternalBlue was powerful, and credential harvesting was effective. But the real breakthrough was strategic. Compromise one trusted software vendor, and you gain access to every organization connected to it. In a world built on automatic updates, cloud services, and global digital infrastructure, trust itself has become part of the infrastructure. And infrastructure can be weaponized. The next major cyber attack may not demand money. It may not even announce itself. It could look like routine maintenance, a software patch, a compliance update, a normal download. The real question is no longer whether an organization could be targeted. The real question is how quickly it could recover. Do you have offline backups, segmented networks, incident response plans tested under pressure? NotPetya proved that a single corrupted update can freeze global trade within hours. If this explanation helped you understand the scale and implications of modern cyber warfare, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it with someone who works in information technology or business operations. Awareness is not paranoia. It is preparation. And preparation may be the only real defense we have.